Soon. There we go. We're back live again. It's like interminable. But we seem to be we're making good ground. We got a lot of craziness going on and asynchronous schedules for everybody. So it's again, it's greatly appreciated everybody that can jump on. Alright, I'm just going to head back and, alright, let me see if I can get this done right. I'm going to share screen, head over here. Okay, cool. Let me recap where I got. I literally spent like very little time in the mid trying to get things sorted out. Oh, I should start the app up again. Oh, it's still going. Okay. So what I did was I kind of hacked together. Where's my? Make sure I got the right one here. Hackathon. Okay. So I had the controller that generates, and I just created a new controller called Matches. And it's just a very simple thing that just displays me. So all I do is I'm like pulling a list of all the right now, and it's like super sketchy. It's pulling a list of all users, which happens to be just me. I was going to see about like can I run it as an administrator and just run it, but at the very least it's like can I just get me, figure out who I am, and then what I've got is there's just literally one button, like one link on here, and that takes you to what normally would be like creating a new record. But I didn't include all of the regular stuff that you would in the Rails build. So for the controller, I just replaced that with actually running the Ruby version of the algo. Okay. Alrighty. There we go. Cool. Al's going to join on shortly.
Cool.
So I just took, like I said, this is sketchy because all I did was literally took a copy of existing people and then passed it through. And so this is literally just a big old hunk of JSON run as like a raw command.
Yeah.
And luckily, because it's native Ruby, it just immediately says, okay, well, give me your API key, and that was it. So I was thinking I was going to go like really sketchy and just run the actual command line interface. So by doing it this way, it did what I needed it to do. Now there's better ways to clean it up. I can do it as a straight API call, but I just thought, let me just get it out the door. So at least I'm going. So if I go here and I say click on the new match, I don't have like a little waiting icon, so you gotta monitor the blue bar. It does do the like 16 or the 4-person by 4-person matrix match. So it takes a few seconds and then it just craps out the results and it says this is what it is. Now it's not formatted, of course, like I said, because it's coming as raw as JSON, but it doesn't format as JSON because it writes it as just HTML.
Yeah.
But I figured I'm further than I was. So now, then the next battle here is I'm going to take the single thing, try and match it against the 4 demo people or 5 demo people. So Angelo, did you have a chance to hack on the data, the sample data? Oh, we lost Angelo's audio.
Or he's on mute.
Or he's dodging the question, one of the two.
I can't hear you.
I take your question.
I can't hear you. Yeah. I created a new file on. Am I under? Oh, okay. Yeah. Community mentors.
Okay, cool.
Awesome.
Very cool. Okay, so right now we've got it as basically group 1 is doing the that. Okay, and then we've got 4 mentors. So if I'm just going to muck with this one here. Where's my algorithmia? Algorithmia. Okay, cool. Oops, sorry. Now the so the content here.
Hey guys.
Hey, there he is. How you doing, Al?
How's everybody doing?
Very good. Very
Hey,
good.
Al.
Hey buddy, how you doing, Angelo?
Good to see you.
Good to see you, Al.
No, I just got to get you on the thing here. Oh, there we go. Now we got a 4-way. Look at that. All this community in one spot. This is wild.
Right.
Alrighty, welcome to the craziness, Mr. Rashid. It's good to have you back in the fold. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How's everybody? Thank you for having me.
It's been a fun day. We've learned some stuff. It's good preparation for the upcoming shorter hackathon, which will be a little bit more fast-paced, but we're testing out some neat things.
Cool. Hey, by the way, this wasn't deliberate, but
Look at that.
And that's you got the gray one. That's the old school, so that's great.
Yep. I think I don't remember when, but yeah, you were kind enough to share it with me.
Yeah, that's hilarious. That's funny. Yeah. Well, we should let folks know, Al. You should let folks know where you blog and where they can find you on social media.
That's right, exactly.
Okay. Is that what you guys are doing now, or?
No, we did that earlier today, but I thought while Eric is still kind of getting things together, maybe you just want to let folks know your blog URL and some areas on your Twitter handle for folks to connect with you.
Okay, I'll just reply to the BDM tweet if that works for everybody.
Sure. Yeah.
A weird thing. So that was weird. All of a sudden, I had 2 Angelos in my feed for a second there. I guess one of them. Talk again, Angelo.
Eric, I'm right here. I can't hear you, Eric. I can't hear you.
That was funny because what it did was it. Yeah, it's doing it again.
Oh, that's weird.
It makes you.
What?
So one of them is like the active. Whoever the active speaker was, and I think I had accidentally selected. So try again. No, yeah, doesn't.
Okay, Eric, I'm waving. Waving.
I think we're good.
This is my broken arm trick. Watch this. 1. Watch this. 2. Watch this. Here it comes. 3. Here it goes. Ready? Oh! Broken arm.
Alrighty, now we're cooking. And my poor laptop is just like, CPU is screaming. Okay. As I'm like watching the live stream. Okay, this is the fun part. Make sure we tag everybody. This poor MacBook is just going to pass out. Man, all I'm trying to do is type in a name and it keeps trying to autocorrect.
That's why we need those gaming systems.
No doubt, no doubt. Yeah, this is, okay, now we're cooking. Boy, oh boy. Okay, So the adventures we've had so far, Al, we've been trying a couple of things. I'm not sure if you got a chance to watch earlier at all. I know you've actually been working, so it's been an adventure here. Let me just see. Am I sharing my screen with Skype? I am. See, okay, good. I'm
Yep.
sharing. So it gets confusing because I forget there's multiple screen sharing things. So if I show you, then I'm going to show the rest of the world here. Okay, cool. So what's going on here is the concept was, where's my, okay, here we go. So the concept that we had as we're storing here in this wiki was being able to algorithmically match people. So and then rather than just saying like skill set, but we want to start with like what are the skills that we would use to match people if they wanted to find a mentor. And then not just skills, but then what if we added things like, what are their hobbies, music, stuff like that. And can we, through using an algorithm, find a better way to match people who don't know each other? Basically, because one of the things is, we all work as a large community, but when we do so, it's because we know each other and we find each other, and when somebody gets introduced, they immediately kind of get broadly shared with the rest of the group. But there's always that time where maybe they aren't getting that introductory opportunity. So could we, through the means of software, have somebody fill out a bunch of information, basically like a quick little personality test, and say like what stuff do you like, what's your favorite things, what's your favorite color, what's your favorite music, what do you like to do, what technology do you like, what do you work with today, and what would you like to learn? And then put them into the old rapid matter combinator, and then it would shake out an available mentor on the other side, somebody who's got that skill set, who has similar likes, so that they know like, hey, if we both like coffee and we both like guitar, odds are we're going to do well if we both have a skill set that we're seeking. So that was the goal. We've been using GitHub as a way to not only store the actual code itself with security alerts. Thank you very much, GitHub, for sharing that with me. So we've got an actual web application we're building. For the back-end work itself, for the algorithm, we're using a product called Algorithmia. And Algorithmia is, where'd it go here? It is an algorithm, basically it's ML and AI as a service. So what you can do is you can log in, you go to algorithmia.com, it's free for, I forget how many, you've got so many credits you can use for, so basically you can do a bunch of polls against the data. And so what we did was we found a couple of different algorithms that may work. And this one actually, it's kind of a three-part algorithm. It uses first what they call a dating algorithm. So based on a set of criteria and a set of weight, how would you match somebody up? So what we did is we've actually taken what used to be like people who like coffee and running and whatever, and that's how it glued them together. Well, we took it and we actually said, what if it was, technology? And then in doing so, and then we take people that we know. So we wanted to say like, how do we know it works? So we took people who were real people we knew with real skill sets, and so we've just said, okay, if we separate them into pretty distinct buckets of skills, and then we take our mentees, fire them into the RM combinator, and then what it does is it'll come out the other side and it matches them up. So the cool thing here is what it's really done is it does all this for you. This is all big gnarly Python code. The problem with that is that, hey, we're not Python coders, or at least I'm not. And so rather than having to go through and do all this, we can quite literally go in, take the piece of data that we've got, we run it. It takes a few seconds to actually carve it out, and then life is good. And then you can use, it has like lots of different code samples in which you can use this. In this case, for us, we actually were using Ruby on Rails as my web framework. So it literally gives you the code all the way down to the bottom, which I won't show because it has my API key buried in the bowels of that code. Fully documented, and there's even like more stuff we can do. So basically, here's the idea, right? We went from having no existing skills building our own algorithms. We found an algorithm that works. It takes people, matches them up by characteristics. Then it uses what they call the stable marriage algorithm, which then pairs them up. And then by doing that pairing, then effectively we've created a way that somebody could, if they were to come to the software, go in and let me actually paste in my code. I'm going to go and say, here's my, oops. I'll try this out. This is my actual web application. Make sure that I pasted all that in brackets right. Okay, so if I'm going to refresh real quick, make sure it sees it. So it's going to do a quick, and I say quick meaning literally there. It's actually pretty fast. So this is my web application that I'm just doing a straight call. It's not actually doing me looking for the mentor, but I'm just taking code that we ran on Algorithmia, which was, and then just glued it in so that I'm running it in the Ruby code in my web application. So in doing that now, we're pretty far along. Now we just basically have to think about the next piece that I've got to work on is, can I now have a form in which I fill out information, or in my profile I put in the stuff that I want to then pass to this algorithm, and then the reality is, hey, we've got until tomorrow morning, so we have 11 hours left to complete, which we really don't have 11 hours left. We have, we're going to do the presentation at 8 o'clock or whatever. So what I'm going to do is start working on the next piece, which is kind of style it up, make it so it's one person going against 4 people, and if we can get that going, we have an MVP, and now we can build out, here's the pitch deck. This is why we did what we did. This is how it works. This is the result, and this is what we will do next if given the opportunity. So basically, we're treating almost like a startup pitch, even more so than a hackathon pitch. So that's the fast forward version of it all. It seems like so little now that I go back and recap it. So yeah, we've had a ton of stuff. I know Joe and Angelo have been working away on this stuff. I've been doing the lazy work. I just build a web app. So now
I was able to catch the first hour this morning, and then I had to jump off because of work-related reasons. So thank you for bringing me up to speed. It sounds like you guys did a lot in the time that you had.
Yeah, the good thing is, again, the thing about the skills that we're trying to create for ourselves, and what you experienced with the last year's VMworld Hackathon, and what you're gonna, wink wink, what you're gonna experience this year when you join my team and we do the same thing at this year's hackathon. We're gonna pick a similar type of thing. Now, last year we did what we kind of just did here. We went from ground up. We explained what we were doing. We built it along the way. We bit off something a bit bigger, like taking on an algorithm, doing stuff like that was more than we would do if we were given 3 hours probably. But now that we've done it, we're going to come to the hackathon and we're just going to be okay, so here's what we've got so far, and this is the stuff we have left to finish. So we're going to probably bring a lot more stuff that's kind of canned and ready to go. You remember last year, I spent the first hour just here's what we're going to do to set it up, which I thought was worthwhile. I believe in how we approached the situation, because we wanted to teach folks, get a sense of who had what skills, and then we did a great job. Everybody did great working together. So this time around, I'm okay, let's move it a little further along, and can we introduce hey, look at this, we're literally using AI in order to do something. So hey, maybe we can come up with some ideas between now and the next week and a half, so that when we go in and because on Monday they'll announce the VMworld Hackathon is open for registration, and I've already submitted myself as a team captain. So Team VDM will be there.
Nice.
Oh yeah, sorry, I did forget to say at the start. So I called this team Bus One, and you'd probably wonder what that actually means. So it's partly from work. We have this thing we call them buses, the way that we organize people in work, and every bus has a bus driver. So that's and they're ultimately in charge of the overall organization of the team. And then you have different people in different roles, and they effectively move around and jump between roles. But the other reason why it's important is when you're doing a hackathon or when you're doing a community event or you're building a business or you're building a product, you have to think about if I had a limited set of seats and I had to invite a bunch of people that I knew I had to build a thing with or trust my money with or whatever, right? Then who do you know that you may know a lot of people that are really great people, but ultimately, who do you know that you're going to put on that bus? Because you know you're going to depend on their ability to do something that's going to contribute to the greater good, right? And this is the combination of community, understanding that we have something, we all have a greater goal that's collective, and then also the other side of it is, hey, sometimes we gotta make hard decisions. If you got to get something done. There are certain times when you can teach and certain times when you got to run. And so it's kind of a neat merger of those things. Sorry, that little beep is my wife. Everybody knows I'll finally, oh, there we go. The baby finally went to sleep. So I'm sitting where the baby's going to go to sleep, so there'll be a bit of a transition shortly on that one. We'll figure that out. But so that's why, and people always wondered, like, hey, how come Melissa's not helping out this year? Here's a hint: a 16-week-old baby, and we have to share time. So that's why.
Yeah, I know the feeling. Been there.
Yeah, exactly. So, alrighty. So where are we? Okay, so Angela, you've got that data. I've got it working in here. Okay, so this is why at the end it gets a little bit exciting because you try and just figure out where you're at half the time. I'm just going to go back and check. So we're also using GitHub, which we will do for the... Oops, that's their project, not mine. This gets confusing. You get a lot of tabs going on. So then what we're doing now as well is using GitHub and using GitHub issues as a way to track what we're doing as tasks. So it's kind of neat because we're kind of relating it to code that's going on. If we were actually doing much more significant development, it's a great way to track things up. You can assign them as features, enhancements, documentation, and such. So this is where the fun's going to come in, as we go through and figure out what we've got on tap. We also have a wiki. So the wiki is where we're storing a bunch of our data set samples, what we're doing along the way. So kind of like first, what's the process that we're going to build, what we're doing today, and then beyond that, what are we doing? I called it day 2. Can we do certain things to keep development going? Now the next piece is, where is my stuff here? Where's our project planning? There we go. So we also have been tracking kind of like each sprint, results of each as a retrospective. They're not as aligned on time as I hoped, only because that's normal, and also again we're working a bit asynchronously because we all have jobs and kids and things, and we're doing this stuff. So, but it's a good. We're doing this long form as a training exercise.
Right.
So now here we are. This is sprint 3. This will take us down for the next couple of hours. So goal 1 is I need to programmatically push a sample JSON file to Algorithmia. Bing! All right. I feel like we're doing good. I've got a working version of that, so which is cool. Now the next piece is, oops, where did my thing go? Project planning. Okay, create user-based mentee output to feed. Okay, so now I have to actually try and, instead of just using canned data, can I now go and through code take what my skills are that I've assigned and then push them in and do a match. So I got to work on that piece, which is going to be basically injecting. So when I do that push of the new match button, that it's taking my own skills, which I've built here. User skills. So I'm going to go through and set up my set of skills, and then I'm going to try and push them in. So we'll see how that goes. And then what else have we got here? Project planning. Aha! Now here's the fun part. We're actually going to have some screenshots capable soon. Now Joe's hacking away trying to figure out my haphazard Ruby on Rails build here. How are things going on your side?
I'm still just getting the box up and running so I can pull it down and try and see what it does.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oops. There we go. And then Angelo, we've got, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly sort of work on some of the layout here, get a menu so I can actually pull this together, and then we can start doing a couple of screenshots. But even if you figure out if you want to do the presentation deck, and what did we say was our timing that we were going to give it? Did we say it was 10 minutes total including a demo, right? He's nodding. I think he's like, just making sure he's hearing me.
I can hear you now.
All right.
Yeah. So we do have the pitch deck. Just waiting for adding a couple screenshots. And that's done. So
cool. Excellent.
I just want to say I'd love to contribute, but I don't want to get in the way either. So wherever you think I can be helpful, even though I'm not very familiar with much of what's going on right now, but I'd be happy to help in any way.
Absolutely. Now just keep pushing us out on social as a very minimum, and just jumping in, just being here, and that's kind of the thing. So. We can work on the presentation is definitely, if you take a look in the, did I give you access? Well, actually, it's public facing right now. The code, yep. I think you actually have collaborator access. So what you can do is go through and there it is. So Angela has the actual presentation PDF. Okay. The other thing that is helpful is we're going to have to build some, probably, I'm trying to think about what documentation we can pull together on this one. And what was my last thing here? Ultimately, now that the fun part is it's basically going to be nose down, trying to make this beast sing, and then, but it's definitely, if you and Angelo can collaborate on kind of just the final presentation, and then we'll be ready, because that's going to happen tomorrow morning. Like I said, now let me check on the team that we got with us right now. What's everybody's availability as we head into the next little while here? Being the next 11 hours.
Yeah, I'm good till 12.
Yeah, same here.
That's what I figured. My aim is at 12. I'll probably cut the cord, and then I'm going to try and get up early. The fun part is that little tiny person that's going to be in the bed near. She gets up 1 or 2 times in the night, anyways. I gotta sort her out, which means it'll be not coding, but I'll be up anyways. And then hopefully I'll get up a little bit early. And then the goal, I think, is we'll try and jump back on at like 7:30, something like that. Once everybody's up. Oh, there you go. One moment. Hello? Okay, all right. I will come down and grab him. Okay, bye.
So is, oh, he's on.
Yes, sir.
So is there a different presentation deck than the pitch deck? I thought I thought the pitch deck would be the final presentation.
No, that is. I just basically we'll just fill in
Oh, okay.
anything else that we want to
Yeah.
have in there, and then just paste it out so that you know that
Yeah.
you can deliver it in the course of like 4 to 5
Yeah.
minutes, so that we've got a 5 minute for the demo, and
Yeah.
then I'm gonna go and basically hack away, try and get the demo piece rolling. I got to
Yeah.
run down. I got to go get Tiny People and put Tiny People in bed. So I'll let you guys hack away. I'll mute and camera down for a little bit here, and then I'll be back.
Okay.
So, Angelo, the deck is the Rapid Matter PDF file that I'm looking at?
That's right. Yeah. So it's probably a 2 to 3 minute 2 to 3 minute deck. Run through that very quickly. It just basically touches on some of the pain points and then what we're going to do to fix that. I left a placeholder for a screenshot, and I guess Eric is going to do a demo at that point as well. So.
Okay. I'm just taking notes as you were talking.
Yeah. And there'll be periods throughout today where it's just quiet on the call, so it's not a it's just welcome the quiet. It's not an awkward quiet, so not
No problem.
yeah.
I'm just laughing that we happen to have the same shirt on today.
Yeah, it's hilarious. That is hilarious.
This was not staged.
Oh, really? Nice.
Yeah. This shirt, this one's from New Orleans. This is the ones we got at New Orleans.
Ah, very cool.
Yeah.
You know what's funny, Angelo? Side story.
Yeah.
So I've got a new guy on our team in the office.
Yeah.
He was at .next last year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, what a small world.
Small, very small. That is cool.
Yeah.
I like how you have all your certs up on the wall there, Al.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
I actually have a couple Nutanix certs. I've just been lazy. I don't even have a frame for them. I mean, as you can tell, I don't even have time to shave.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's quite the impressive stack on the wall there, though.
Yeah, I know.
Trying to keep up with you big dogs. Just trying to improve my life, everybody's life in general.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
It's all more fun if everybody makes it.
yeah, absolutely. It makes it a lot easier for everybody involved as well.
Yep.
I'm just looking over the mentors website that you referenced in the deck. I was just going to read through it real quick.
Yep. Does this look familiar, Al?
You know what? I have something for you. I'll be right back. I'm glad you reminded me. You're going to get a kick out of these. I'll be right back.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh, gosh. Oh, I got a story to tell you once Al gets back. Oh.
It is commemorative. I said.
Yeah, Eric was right about kids and trying to get them to bed as planned, because apparently both of mine are up and running around like crazy in the living room. So
Oh, no.
yeah, gonna owe my wife. Well, she's leaving for like half the day tomorrow to go to the other side of town and like go get her hair cut and
Yeah,
have a day shopping and errands and stuff. So
sure.
I'll get payback anyway.
Sorry. It's too hot with all these overhead lights.
Yeah,
Okay, buddy, you ready?
yeah.
And I can put the lights back on if you need them.
Oh, my goodness.
Mr. Nimoy.
Okay.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, you know what? Let me do the correct side.
Wow.
So I don't understand the premise behind these.
Where'd
But-
you get that?
Look real closely. Do you see the?
Yeah, I see the Dave and Buster's logo down there.
Oh, I see it now. Yeah.
Yeah, go figure. My wife and kids go every Wednesday night. I think
wow.
it's like half price night there.
That's
Interesting.
great. Those are great. And what's on the reverse side? What's on the back?
Here, I'll show you. Here's
Hopefully it's their version with the goatees. Remember when they did that show? There was like the evil version of themselves and just had a goatee.
Yeah.
So there's the front, and the back is similar.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm getting to your favorite.
Yeah.
Nice.
Getting there. Those cards look great.
Well, consider this set for you, my friend.
Oh my goodness. Oh, there you go.
I'm terrible.
That's cool.
at this.
All right, a fellow Canadian,
There
Nice.
you go.
Big Bill.
All right, so this I don't know what they mean to my wife and kids, but I've already gotten the okay from
Oh
her.
gosh.
Nice.
That's awesome, man.
Okay.
We've got a VMUG event at our local one this coming Wednesday, so I'll have to be sure and grab some extras.
Wow.
That's pretty cool.
So just very quickly, while Eric kind of like settles in and everything, on my flight back from Los Angeles earlier this year, I was lucky enough to get bumped up and sort of get moved into business class seating on the flight. And as I'm in line to board, there's this, and this is in Los Angeles, there's this person that gets shuffled into the plane with a baseball cap, glasses. You couldn't really see who it was, but this person like goes to the front of the line, gets escorted into the plane, gets seated, and then they start letting everyone else board. And so I get on the plane. I'm sitting diagonal to him, and I see everyone kind of glancing at this person, looking, and I'm like, who is this guy? He's got a baseball cap on, glasses. I mean, it's in the plane, right? Like, why do you need So anyways, I keep seeing people walk by and keep glancing and as we're flying. And then he takes his hat off and he gets up, and I guess he's going to the washroom, and he turns around, and I look at him and I say, oh my goodness, I won't tell you who it is yet, but I go, and then he went and did his stuff and kind of walked around and sat back down, and then I happen to have this shirt on, so I'm giving it away a bit. I happen to have this shirt on, and I said to myself, is he awake? Is he sleeping? What is he? I didn't know what he was doing because I didn't see him moving. So I see people walk by and glancing at him, and I thought I saw somebody smile, and I thought, okay, he must be awake. So I'm gonna walk up to the washroom, wash my hands real quick, turn around, and walk down the aisle with my shirt, wide open like this, and me and him are going to become best friends, and I'm gonna give him a ride to wherever he needs to go. I'm gonna get a selfie on the flight. Anyways, I get up, I walk in, I wash my hands real quick, I turn around, I walk out, and the guy's sleeping. Right? Man. So anyways, I sit at my desk, and basically it was Captain Kirk, Chris Pine. The new Captain
new
Kirk.
guy. Okay, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's funny.
And I was like, I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. And then, we all get off the plane, and there's someone there to pick him up and kind of guide him through wherever he was going and stuff. And it's like, wow, almost, if he was awake, he could have seen the shirt. He would have laughed.
Well, he could have been awake. We just don't know what he was on.
Yeah. But that was such a fluke. So that was it was a cool thing.
Yeah, it's always pretty cool when you see somebody you see on TV all the time.
Yeah.
Dude, a few years ago, I bumped into Steven Tyler from Aerosmith.
Oh, wow.
Actually, it was in L.A. as well. He wasn't he wasn't in a good mood to talk. Let's just put it that way.
Right.
It was pretty funny.
Yeah. And for some of us that are a little older, me and Eric, Chris Pine's father is Robert Pine, who played the captain in Chips.
Oh, nice.
The television show Chips. Yeah, that was the captain.
Now you're going to get me to Google this.
Yeah.
California Highway Patrol.
Well, I used to watch that show religiously.
Yeah. So his father is the captain.
Go figure.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. What a small world.
Yeah, I know. I used to love. I have the DVDs for that show, and it's. But I digress.
Didn't they come out with a movie recently?
They did. I didn't see it, but yeah, they did. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see it as well, but I recall something about it.
Yeah.
So Eric, what's the database backend you're using for your app?
PostgreSQL.
Okay. I got Rails deployed, so now I'm gonna make sure what else I need to get on here.
Nice. Yeah, I used to do everything as goodness gracious, MySQL, but then I switched over to Postgres just because allegedly better performing. It did actually work out for some of the stuff that I was doing, and so now I've had to go back and I held off for the longest time. Like I didn't really have any production reason to do so, and here I am now. I actually do need it, so I've just kind of gotten used to it. Now I'm trying to get my Now there's a couple of things I'll need to send you, Joe, that are like API keys and a couple of things that I've got. So.
Okay. I just had Vanover send me your picture. Say, hey, is this you?
Downside, it's funny. I'm actually down in my studio, as you can tell by the strange-looking stuff all around me. So this is how you know you're like a total nerd, is when you actually have, like, you set up got music goodies in the corner, green screen in the background, studio lights all over the place. The joys of having a wife who loves you, where you get to collect nice guitars.
I was going to ask you about that. I know you've mentioned it before.
Yeah, that one. So this is, if you're a fan of, this is actually signed by the lead singer of Train, Pat Monahan.
Nice.
She got it at a charity auction. She's like, "Hey, do you want a guitar?" I'm like, buying a guitar is it's a very individual and unique thing. It's hard to buy a guitar or a bicycle or something. There's certain things you can't buy for somebody. And she's just like, "It's signed by the lead singer of Train." I'm like, "Well, whatever it is, I'll take it."
Nice.
It's actually decent. It's my first. I've never had a Telecaster before, and I decided to give it a try. So I do quite enjoy it.
Oh, that's right, because you played for your kickoff this year, right?
Yeah, that was a blast.
Nice.
I actually, so I've got an Epiphone Les Paul. It's if you know guitar people anyway. So Zach Wilde, who's from Ozzy Osbourne's band and Black Label Society. So I have his Bullseye Les Paul.
Nice.
And so what I did was I actually had it skinned over with a vinyl cover. With the logo of my company, and so it had the big Turbonomic logo, and it actually had like pictures of the elements of the UI spread across it, and I'll replace the headstock. It was pretty crazy. And so I showed that, and yeah, they're like, because they asked, guys from my team said, "Hey, so can you play Elevation by U2?" And I was like, if you need me to, I can figure it out. It doesn't seem like it's going to be that hard. The Edge, like U2 guitar stuff, is actually kind of weird because he does a lot of weird effect stuff. And so I thought, what the heck? I can do that. I said, "So you want me to like record something?" They're like, "No, play it live." I just looked at him strange and like, "Wait, what?" So, and then one of the other things is the founder of our company, Shmuel. He's a big fan of Pink Floyd, and one of his favorite things, his walkout music is "Another Brick in the Wall" from Pink Floyd. So that's every event we do. That's his big walkout thing that we set up for him. And so I said, "Hey, if you want to really go all out," I said, why don't I play that one as well?" So that was actually a lot more fun because playing U2, I mean, it's fun, but it's being able to like rock out hardcore and rip through a solo with in front of 500 people that you work for. Very nerve-wracking, but a lot of fun.
Very cool.
I've got some updates. I'll actually commit this. Oh boy. God, I like that. Now it's reminding me, every time I do a git push, it's like, "Hey, so you know, there's a whole boat ton of vulnerabilities in your code here." Thanks for that.
Nice.
It's actually a really slick feature. Okay, so I got to do some minor styling updates, but right now, if am I sharing? Oops. Yeah, so just okay, so skills, I've got general skills. Now what were the ones that we had listed for our example? I'm trying to remember here. Communicators, okay, so BCDX, NPX. I wish I'd had the foresight to actually better be able to stand this up as a centralized location. And then, so I apologize, Al, I don't have more work that I can kind of put in your hands, because this is the fun. Like, hackathons are crazy because economizing your time, figuring out how to do good delegation and work sharing, but at the same time, you're just like, holy crack, I've got to actually get this stuff done. And how am I going to pull it off?
No worries, no worries. I'm just happy to tag along for the ride and help in any way possible. I was telling Angelo and Joe while you were away, I'm just reviewing the slide deck and the website that was referenced about mentoring the program.
Oh, nice.
Just trying to get some ideas, maybe throw something in there.
Yeah, that's my baby. as I tell myself, I'm like, I don't think I get enough stuff done, and my wife just keeps shaking her head, going, "You have like 17 like websites. You work at a startup. You run these community programs. You bike. You do a bunch of things, and you got 4 kids. You think you do okay?"
I have to agree with her. I don't know how you do it. Every time I look online, you've got something going on, and I ask myself, how the heck does he do it?
She is how I do most of it. Without her, I would be an empty package. I've got a Pluralsight course I'm working on as well, which is going to be fun. So keep your eyes out for that coming up soon, hopefully. Once I get through this, then I got to hammer out Pluralsight, and then it's VMworld.
Fun.
So while we're on the topic, I'm assuming one or maybe all of you have attended VMworld in San Francisco in the past.
True statement. I have. I'm a 3-time attendee for San Francisco. Yeah.
Any feedback or?
Well, the good thing is, relative to Vegas, you don't need to have 17 changes of clothes because of smoke. So that's a bonus. You do have to make sure you watch where you step, else you may need a new pair of shoes. This San Francisco, very famous for the most San Francisco thing you can have is you'll be sitting inside of Phil's Coffee, listening to a guy pitch a startup, and outside somebody is pooping on the sidewalk. It's a very interesting, diverse culture. Let's just say there's some real class challenges in the city, right? Just such a fundamental problem with homelessness and then this huge economic gap. So it's kind of wild. I mean, I'm a fan, and just know your path. Like, so you know where Moscone is, figure out where your hotel is, take the same way there every time. Always ask the person that knows the way, or ask your hotel concierge how to get there. And they'll always say, like, okay, so go out the hotel and turn right. Never turn left, always turn right. So turn right, go 2 blocks, because we're in Union Square or in the area, it's a tricky area at night. So now I say that just as a general warning. I'm 100% okay with it. Like, I've never had any difficulty. I know what to expect. I lived in Vancouver. Vancouver is a well-known area called the Downtown East Side, which is a rather challenged area of Vancouver. It's all one huge population. That's what the Tenderloin District is in San Francisco. So the Tenderloin District is that. It's just they've got a lot of like hotels that were converted into like roomy houses, and they've got safe injection sites and stuff like that. So there's a very like a sort of large population of homeless folks that are kind of in that area. So that's all it is. If you walk around with an I Heart SF shirt on, you're going to get your wallet removed and possibly a liter of blood. So I wouldn't recommend walking around with a map in your hand and looking lost. No matter where you're going, just look like you've got intent on getting there.
Yeah, and if you don't bring a jacket, expect to get your wallet lifted as well. That was my realization the first time we went to San Francisco, because they had the obviously like designed for tourist vests that had like the fleece lined inside and then the soft shell, somewhat waterproofed outside.
Yeah.
Which they have at the stands for like $20 or $25 in the morning, but then once it gets close to the afternoon and starts actually getting cold, you'll see they'll go clip up like new fronts for the signs, and they'll sell them for like 45 to 60.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
They got a racket.
So the challenge, of course, was San Francisco weather. Bring shorts, pants, a jacket, a parka, a hat, a t-shirt, and an umbrella, and sunglasses, and that's all for the same day.
Yeah.
It's very diverse weather down there. And so it's a fun thing too. So you're going to go down there in August, and everybody says, "Oh, that's amazing! I'm going to go down." People always go down in August because they want to go to the Bay Bridge and get that beautiful picture of the Bay Bridge. If you want to, go outside of your house right now and take a picture of the dark, because that's about as much of the Bay Bridge as you're going to see. August is the worst month because it has the incredible amounts of fog that pour through the Bay Area.
Mm-hmm.
In October, clear as day, is the most beautiful time. So every time you see a photo of the Bay Bridge, it was taken in October. For the most part, that's how it works out.
Right.
No, it's definitely it's a neat city. Make sure you got a couple of credit cards, because one you're going to use to lock up for your hotel. It's basically going to be a seed funding round for another startup. It's $500 a night, and you may or may not have bed bugs upon your return.
Fantastic.
It's pretty cool. I joke just because I've been there so many times that I used to live in Vancouver, so I could literally drive to San Francisco. So I'd been there 4 or 5 times before then. Then I started going for events, and it's different when you're there for an event, of course. But yeah, I like the city. It's a very unique and exciting, colorful city. It's got a very special vibe around it. But it's just very different. So, but hang out with us. We'll let you know where all the good stuff is.
No doubt. No, I like the city. I've been there a few times, and what you described is accurate. I guess what I'm kind of eager to find out is how everything is situated in the Moscone Center.
Yeah, for the most part, there'll be a couple of hotels nearby. So the Hyatt that's just nearby also will have some things. There's sometimes the Marriott's, which is right, basically kitty corner to the Moscone. They also use rooms there. So when they get the schedule, you'll see some of them. So be careful your schedule. If you do have stuff that's kind of back to back, you may find yourself running from building to building through the outside. It can be a little bit tricky that way. But for the most part, they do a good job of if you're going for similar stuff, they tend to keep it grouped together. So if you're going for cloud stuff, it's generally all going to be in Moscone West, something like that. They'll try and bundle it together. Okay, so now what I'm doing, I've just sort of backfilled a bunch of the skills because what I'm doing is creating. I'll really quickly explain this as a neat Railsy thing. So And again, like this is kind of half backsided here because I'm just trying to get something so I can feed data. So the way that this works is I've created a particular thing called skills. So these are general skills that I would load into the system. Ideally, then you could go and as you type in a form, if it wasn't there, you could create a new one, almost like you would with like tags in a web form. Then there's what I call user skills, and when you look at the URL, it tells you exactly what the controller is for everything. So user skills is made up of matching the user ID, which is a fake form. Basically, it's like a hidden field in the form that always fills up my user ID, and then the ID, basically like a database reference. Have you ever done like primary key type of stuff? So it does the primary key reference to a skill. So when I say I'm going to pick a skill and I'm going to say I have enterprise architect, I'm going to say I have TOGAF. I'm an intermediate TOGAF with 6 years experience. What this looks like, this is before I changed the labeling, it says user 1, that's me, skill level, so the skill number is 7, and then this is stuff that's actually, so it basically just creates this reference to these 2 different key fields, and then that's what glues it all together. It's a fun thing when you're doing database stuff, and Ruby on Rails, if you do muck about with it, it's like crazy easy to do this. You just tell it to like create a thing and give it 2 different controllers in the same scaffold or the same controller, and it does all the magic underneath for you. Because this kid, not smart, does not know how to do most of the stuff. I just make this up as I go along, and Rails does all the work. But then when I change it, if I look at what the view looks like, where's my view? So user under skills. If I say my form, I've told it to, instead of saying the skill ID, I'm actually doing this thing of skill collect, where I go and I grab the skill list, which is a separate controller, and I pull the title field. So that's why you see a title. But on the same thing in a different action inside underneath the view, if I go to show, the show view, it says skill underscore ID. So if I just go in, so here you go, if I do a show ID here, so user ID 1, skill ID 1, so if I go and I say user dot first name, so instead of ID, I do a refresh, and there it says it's me. And then I do skill, I can't remember what was the name of the field that I had on that one. It was, sorry, I gotta look it up. Skill title. Boy, oh boy, am I ever inconsistent with the way that I name these fields. I'll do like 4 applications in a row, and they all look kind of like each other. And then the 5th one, it's like I learned something new, and so it starts to deviate. And then from that point forward, that's the new baseline. So as you watch that, there you go. So then it replaces the skill. So instead of the number now, it actually pulls the text field instead of the ID field. So it's kind of neat, like that's how easy it is, instead of me having to write a bunch of crazy JavaScript and do all these gnarly database lookups and inner outer joins, and whew, I get scared just thinking about it. And this one here, a very basic user form, just to say like, here's me. Yeah, exactly. This website's not secure.
Website not secure.
I like the bottom, unhappy.
yeah. That's I love the cancellation here. You're not pleased? Get out. Lose my number. Okay, so I just got to go. Okay, so my next piece here, let me just double check where things are at here. Hey, look at that. It helps if you turn on the power bar. Like, why is my thing not charging? Okay, so now I've filled out some skills. I've created some for myself. Now what I've got to do is somehow figure out how to now programmatically pass them. Yeah, this is the downside. So if you were, because we're not running in a shared network, downside to working remote. I should have a centralized server that I can deploy stuff to, so this way I could hand off like user testing and you could do some more stuff. Unfortunately, I'm the bottleneck here, and that kind of cuts into how effective we can be on moving fast. So I apologize for that.
I hear cloud is a thing now. You know,
Yeah, exactly.
We could probably make this work.
It's a fad. It's all serverless now. Look at you with your Kubernetes shirt on and everything, hipster.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt bad when you were mentioning the OpenStack earlier and everybody jumping ship. I was like, oh man, he's gonna feel I'm heckling now.
Nah, it's all good. Man, that's what. The funny thing is, my Pluralsight course is on HashiCorp's Nomad. So
Oh yeah.
it's Nomad's it's crazy, wicked good, but it also doesn't have the heat of like the community behind it. And I mean, whether right or wrong, so technologically, it's a better environment today than Kubernetes. Does it stand to grow and become a future player against Kubernetes? I don't necessarily know. It does play very nicely, especially in the Hashi ecosystem of things. My favorite thing is, best description I've ever heard, Mitchell Hashimoto. I was lucky enough to have him on my podcast, and I said, you know, I like how you go with this idea of like different tools that fit together. I said, you know, do you call them a suite? Like, how's it work? And he says, our CEO describes it. He says, if you squint hard enough, it looks like a suite. Okay. All right, that was the next thing I need. I need to be able to create my match. Okay, so I've got basic menu set. Alrighty. Okay, before I get started on this next piece, it's going to be tight, but alrighty, I got to jump off. I'll be right back in a few minutes. I just realized another reason why my poor machine is probably screaming. I've got a 5-node Nomad cluster running in VirtualBox in the background. I should probably stop that. Oopsie doodle. Oh, okay, it was suspended. Okay, good. Okay. Ooh, big lights. They really mess with things. You can tell I don't normally film this direction.
Is this the room that you use when you guys are broadcasting the VDM episodes?
No, it's just, the funny thing is I rarely actually use this room. I've set it up. It's like kind of the goal room to do certain things in, but it's also in the basement of our house where the kids stay during the day. So like we have somebody come in the house to take care of them. So that's it. Like I can't be in here because even though there's some level of sound control, and I have like sound controlled baffles in the ceiling, and then I've got like same thing on the walls. I got a couple of different things, but it's still not soundproof entirely. So inevitably there would be children sounds. So yeah, we just go. We pick various locations in the house whenever we could do that. Which is funny because again, a lot of people we sometimes we've been literally like sitting on opposite sides of exactly the same room, pointing away from each other, just to never give away that that we're the same people. I still bump into people once in a while. They're like, wait a second, who's your wife? And I'm like, oh yeah. So I'll talk about something. I'm like, hi, my wife has a lot of very severe food allergies. I'm like, oh really? I said, yeah, she's like allergic to everything. That's why I have a very strict diet. And they're like, oh wow, you should talk to, Melissa. She's like, I think she's got similar problems. I'm like, I heard, yeah.
That's got to be a challenge.
Yeah, that's why, especially with just timing of EDM, and this year we just had a ton of stuff going on, and so this year we switched it up, which is cool. I mean, I'm enjoying the test of this stuff. It's a good educational exercise for me, and hopefully it is for the folks that have watched. And that's kind of the ideal goal, is that we want to make sure that it's stuff that's reusable and it'll make sense for people.
I've definitely enjoyed it, and I had the pleasure earlier this year to meet Adam Post and Chris.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Adam is a good dude. Yeah, we're so many good people. I look back on all the people we've met. Everybody's amazing. Yeah, present company withstanding, of course. Ha ha ha. Sorry. Okay. Now here's the thing. There's my mentors. So it's probably gonna be brutal to like try and watch because I'm like. So we tested this one before, Joe, right, where we did the mismatch, and it should, by all accounts, work. Where if I run this and I've got 2 against 4, I've got 4 mentors, 2 mentees. I will find a match for the 2 mentees. Perfect. Okay, cool. So then I'm going to go even one step further. Okay, so according to my guess, this person should get matched with Leor because they've got AI, Hyper-V, and Azure. Okay, cool.
Nice.
And so if I were to go in and say VCDX, TOGAF, we'll see what happens here. Still Leor, right, because he's a VCDX. What was the other one that I had for? Yeah, this is the neat thing is as you start to work out, like, where's the cut where somebody gets effectively matched? Oh, look at that. Interesting.
Yeah, that was the thing I ran into in one of the test cases. I didn't fully write it out yet, but where I was trying to verify that if we had kind of the perfect match, once that mentor was taken out of the mix because they matched up with somebody, would it follow the same order we expected for match number 2? And for some reason, I had it skip over, like, whoever was mentee number 1, if there was 4 matches, then it would automatically go to mentee number 2. The only way I could force it to go 1-to-1 was having, like, a perfect match with all 5.
Wow, yeah.
Something about the ordering in there was throwing it off. And I think it's where it's doing the that was the bit I was mentioning where it goes into that perfect marriage algorithm,
right?
Because it has you specify which of the 2 lists is the, I guess, the preferred list. So if there's a mismatch, it adds a bunch of null values to the end of one to add a weighting when it does the pass through to that secondary marriage algorithm. So I think that's where it's doing some of the weird matching stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. And as we add more criteria, of course, so here's the other thing. So let's just say if I, okay, wait a second, values.
Oh yeah, you should be able to pretty easily get around that one if you just change the weights at the top.
Yep. So let's just say 2.0. Aha! Son of a gun, eh? So this is the wild thing. Like that's why this is the very early sort of proof of concept of what I'm going to use to actually build out the actual application that's going to run, that's going to power the web app long term. But it's lots of testing. I'm curious if my Algorithmia account is charging me money yet.
Yeah, that would at least be the one benefit of cloning out the algorithm
Right.
Just comment out
Yeah,
the calls for
exactly.
that geo lookup.
Okay, so it's
Ooh,
not.
man.
That's the only one. It's that bloody geo distance thing. It's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, because if you've made 18 calls to the dating algorithm and it made 1,200 calls to that distance lookup, that's interesting.
That is wild. All right, it's a good thing we're finishing this up soon. I only got 1,700 credits left here.
Yeah.
Every time I query this bad boy, it's burning up my my overall. Not bad though. So this is.
I'm sorry, I was just gonna say we need to get you one of those $10,000 Macs.
Yeah, that's right. I can remember to buy myself. That's the only thing I do. Luckily, is Melissa to make sure that I enjoy myself. Everything else I tend to pour into things we do and other people's success. So I feel good about it. But man, I got my AWS bill the other day. Not cool. Not cool. I already also warned everybody in the house. I'm like, hey, just so you know, if you start getting Google ads for dating, not real. So that's what a mess. Yeah, it's really surprising. You know, I had a family. Well, I mean, very literally the last 2 days we had a death in the family, so we've been like 100% offline for like 3 or 4 days. But like a few months ago, we had a similar situation, death in the family, and just doing all the preparations and buying flowers and funeral arrangements and stuff. All the advertisements we would get in YouTube and whatnot were all for like depression medication and stuff like this. Like it knows you well, you know. Not that I needed depression, but it was funny like that. By doing these other patterned behaviors, it assumes like, well, you're probably feeling pretty down right now. That was another thing that was funny. Angela may know this story. Is a Canadian politician was very angry upon going to the government website and seeing advertisements for like mail order brides, and he said like he actually like took screenshots, filed a complaint, and said like, is this the kind of thing that we should have on our government advertising and government websites? And they're like, I don't know if you realize it's your search history that generates those ads. It's Google ads. Yeah. And they found out that this guy, of course, had been getting himself into some difficult situations, and his wife was displeased at the thing, as you can imagine. But yeah, so be careful when you complain about stuff like that.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Okay. Now the hard part I've got to figure out here is I've had to do this before. Can I inject something? Again, like this is probably not recommended practice, but I'm just trying to get the thing working once. So the way that Rails works is each controller pulls one thing, and you just keep calling stuff between controllers. There's really proper programming ways in which you can reference one to the other. I am not going to use those methods because I do not know them. So I'm going to very haphazardly just jam in more than one query in a single controller. Far from the right way to go, but I need to get this information. Okay. Just so I don't have to keep running the algorithm every time. So while I'm refreshing trying to figure out something else, there's no point in me Okay, so you need a couple of screenshots, right, Angela? I may actually, know what? I'll probably save those for the morning.
We just need one.
Yeah.
Because then you want to go into demo, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll just show a screenshot and then we'll say, here's the demo.
Alrighty, I'm going to. If I share, I could probably share it through Slack actually. There you go. Okay, so it's in the Slack there. If you want to grab that and just use it as a placeholder for now. So what else has everybody got planned for VMworld craziness? Any pre-post events? What are the parties to go to?
I think this year I'm just doing Hackathon and small events with a handful of people, trying to avoid the big stuff.
Good call. I like where your head's at.
Same here. I'm coming in on Sunday, and I wanted to attend some of the smaller activities like opening acts and the VM Underground.
Right.
I've never been to either in the past.
Oh, cool.
Oh man, they're fantastic.
Yeah.
And also the V Soccer event.
Oh yeah, it's Tuesday night, right?
That's Tuesday night.
Yep.
And Wednesday, I'll be with Tech Field Day throughout the day.
Oh, nice. Okay, you're doing the Tech Field Day. What do they call it? What's the short ones they call
Extra.
them? Extra. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're interesting. I struggled a bit with those ones because it's a very compressed presentation time. You don't get a chance to really dig in. It's they get an hour and a half, and it's like, all right, so here's the thing, and you get 3 questions in, and then like, oh, we gotta get out of here.
Yep.
Yeah. But I'm like Joe. I'm probably going to try to avoid the parties. Not really interested. You guys?
Don't worry, we'll let you know where we're going for dinner. So you can come join.
Yeah, that's the way to go. Of course, there will be a ceremonial trip to In-N-Out. Another place you've got to go to that I'm a fan of, it's called Gott's Roadside. It's in the Embarcadero building down at the end of Mission Streets. It's in the ferry building.
Okay.
So it's not too tough to get to. It's also where Blue Bottle Coffee is, or one of them. There's a couple of them around. And if you're a fan of gluten-free baked goods, Mariposa Bakery is they've got a lot of gluten-free, nut-free, dairy-free. So you can imagine in an allergy-rich household that's a big stop for us. So I will be frequenting that place. And don't forget, of course, to bring your coffee. I think so far we have like 18 or 19 people signed up for the coffee exchange. So at £2 a piece, that means I'm just about hitting almost 40 pounds of coffee that are going to be coming.
Cool. No, I've got 2 bags, and you want whole beans, correct?
Ideally, yeah. I mean, whatever you got. Yeah, whole beans are better just because they tend to hold a little longer, especially when it's got to go through plane travel.
I need to put in my order on Monday to go pick up.
My brain is not working here. Just trying to get my thing, or at least I can get trying to figure out how I can pull my data into a JSON inside Ruby. This is why I don't do this full time. It's a lot of fun doing this, but when you don't do it regularly, you gotta like the ramp up time again is pretty heavy. Especially coming off of a crazy week. Oh boy. I'm looking like I may be having to go fully manual on this one. The old prototype will be okay, but I got a lot more stuff that's going to end up in day 2 than I hoped. I'm just having visions, Angelo, of like leaning back. So those developers feel like,
Yeah.
it's like when you get one little thing working and it's just gonna be like, yes. You run down the street cheering, and then you spend the next 4 hours going, why am I doing this? Oh, I'm getting Closer one little tiny step at a time. It's going to be tight. So basically, like my sticking point right now is that I've got all this crazy JSON stuff. So I'm able to now at least inject it so that when I do the query, I can push my name. So it's pulling my user account into the match by name. But the problem with this little section here is it's an array. Yeesh. So I'm going to have to see how I can pull that one. It's going to take some magic to get this done in time, but at the very least, I think we got to, if we were Hackathon, yeah, if the Hackathon shuts down, then we got at least somewhat of a validated result here.
Yeah, it matched. So what is it you're trying to do now, just to get it to list out what skills matched?
Yeah, and so right now I'm like just hard coding the match query. So first is if I can figure out how to inject my actual dynamic skills into this, instead of the hard coded, have it be like skill.1, skill.2, whatever, like my skills. And then once I can do that, then the same process would hold true. It would go then to query the list of mentors and get there. So basically, I need to dynamically generate this set of JSON.
Yeah.
As long as I can get it working for one array, then the rest of it's working. But right now I don't know how to do it in a variable length array versus like a single. This is just like my username. I can pass that one without too much significant difficulty.
Well, so really all we need is basically like a for loop, right? Just go call out the skills array to get a count of it, and then for iteration less than equal to whatever that count is, then just have it pull out that number in the sequence.
Yeah, and then the other thing that's crappy because it's JSON is the last one has no comma.
Right.
So I've got to. It shouldn't be too hard, but I'm just thinking time frame and mindset right now. I don't know that I'm gonna. I'll probably be worse off trying to figure it out than than cutting the cord. If I sleep on it, it may come to me. But I'm gonna hack on it. I got like half an hour. I think I can still work a little bit harder on it, try and get it rolling. Because as long as I can figure out how to do this, it's basically just interpolation of taking variables and passing it into the next variable.
Yep.
I only know the word interpolation because doing that Pluralsight course, a whole lot of interpolation talk going on inside HashiCorp stuff. The things you learn, like that's the funny thing. And this is why I always tell people, I'm like, if we only hang out with the people that do the thing that we do, and you get very good at figuring out the thing you already do. I like to hang out with people that I have no idea what they do, so that hopefully I have some idea by the end of it. One day I'll actually give in and learn Python. I'm just like super lazy and I keep going back to Ruby because I kind of have some experience with it. What did you go to school for, Al? I'm always curious on how people kind of got to the career that they're in.
I was actually a business major.
Nice.
And I worked in retail. I had a pretty good job, but the hours were pretty stressful, especially with a young family at the time.
Yep.
There would be nights I would work until midnight and then have to be back at 4 or 5 in the morning. And it just got very tiresome very quickly.
I know that grind. I did years of retail work, and yeah, it takes a toll on you.
It does. It does. I got into IT, remained in retail part time, partially because my first job in IT was literally half the pay that I was making in retail, but I was willing to take the sacrifice, make the risk, because I knew long term it would benefit us all moving forward.
Yeah,
And,
no, that's it. Yeah.
and I sympathize every time I go to a retail store. I see the look on that employee's face, and sometimes I'll say to them, I said, I've been in your shoes. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. Sooner or later, you're just going to have to realize maybe this is not what you want to do. I don't know. I just got fed up with it.
Yeah, no, that's always the thing. I had, I was a cobbler. I literally fixed shoes for a living after I did years of other retail. I worked in bookstores and did a bunch of other stuff, and then that was it. Like, you realize that you're like, I think I want to do something different. And my retail, or my regional manager came in and he's like, hey, you don't seem like your heart's in the game anymore. And I said, you're right. And I handed him my resignation letter that I'd been carrying around with me for like 3 weeks.
Wow.
And I finally said, and he's like, I was just going to suggest you take a couple of days off. And I said, no, I think I got to do this. And he's like, what are you going to do for, like, how are you going to, like, what are you going to? I'm like, well, when you don't have a job, it's a real good driver to get a job, isn't it? He's like, this is a terrible idea. I said, I'm going to get into technology. And he's like, there's really no future in that if you don't have, like, okay. The company that we worked for actually went out of business 2 years later, or like 3 years later. They'd struggled a bit. I could only save them so much. And then, yeah, he ended up working. He's a good fellow. I don't wish him ill. He did genuinely want me to, like, do well. But that was the thing. Like you said, I left that job, and my first gig was working in a computer store. And I said, I'm going to work literally. I'm making $8.50 an hour, but from this point forward, I'll never not work in the technology field. And that was it. Never changed. I rode my bike back and forth to that store every day, and I had $2 each day, where I could buy a hot dog and a pop, as we call it up in Canada, or a soda, depending on what part of the States you're from.
Well, they call it the same thing in Ohio, if I recall.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. So that was it. I lived every day off a long bike ride commute and one hot dog and one pop. And I said I knew I could do that for 10 days, and I got my first paycheck.
There you go. Yeah, sometimes you just got to make sacrifices.
Yeah, that was it. It's you kind of got to force your hand. It's easy, and most of the folks that I find in our kind of community, you again, like why I'm doing this whole thing of like creating ways to better match people, is I find that's the stuff that usually brings us together. We're like, oh man, you too? Yeah, I totally went to school by myself. Like I just like learned in a library. Like there's very few people that are in kind of our peer community that went to school for computer science and got into operating systems administration and then worked. Like, no, it was we all, like, I was a landscaper, I was a cobbler, and then I was like, I think I'm gonna make more money. So I got into IT. Now my dad was a Unix system administrator. He worked for years. I watched him do it. When I was a kid, I was doing like database administration when I was like 15. So it wasn't completely out of the blue, but to do it as a job without any school background was the leap of faith that I had to take. And a lot of us have to do that. Mm-hmm. And that's why I want to make sure that less people have to do that. I want to give them a reason that they know they can do it.
No, it's a very kind gesture, what you provide for a lot of people without asking for much of anything in return. So I'm definitely thankful for everything that you guys do, not for me, but for a lot of people in the community.
Absolutely. Well, you and everyone are welcome. It's how we got here.
Yep. If I could share a simple story, it's funny because back in the spring, my daughter was on a travel volleyball team, And it was about 30 minutes from the house, and it just wasn't worth coming back home when I drop her off because she was going to be there for 2 hours. So I'd drive up to like a Chick-fil-A, and I would literally piggyback on their Wi-Fi just to kill time. But I would grab something to eat as well. And one of the ladies that works there, and I'm sure she's probably still works there, she approached me, and just like most Chick-fil-A employees, they always greet you, they're always friendly, they're always polite. And she asked how my day was going, and I said, it's going well. And, we started a little conversation. And I asked her in return, how's your day going? And keep in mind, this is at about probably 8:30 at night on a Tuesday night, if I recall. And, she responded back very politely and said, everything's going well. When I leave here, I'm going to my next job.
Ooh, yeah.
And my thought was, well, Chick-fil-A closes at 10. You probably won't get out until 11. And I couldn't help but ask her, I said, without giving too many details, are you going to another job after this, basically? And she said, yeah, I work at another job and I'll be there throughout the overnight hours.
Wow.
And I was stunned. I was speechless. And I gave her my contact information. I got to know a little bit more about her and what her desires are and what she wants to do with her life, moving forward. She doesn't want to work, obviously, for Chick-fil-A. And we exchanged contact information. She emailed me and told me that she would be interested, ironically enough, in someone that could possibly mentor her, into another career. And I wrote back, and I've never heard back from her. And unfortunately, I've never been back to that restaurant since then.
Yeah, sometimes it's tricky, right? You can help people take the first step, and there are times when you did something which she'll appreciate just that you reached out as much as anything else. Even if nothing else comes from it, she knows that she's got an option. And I think sometimes just the feeling of having that airbag somewhere, like having that sense of comfort that there are people out there that are genuinely helpful, then maybe she'll drive herself to make a decision. And yeah, who knows? That's really cool.
Yeah, hopefully. It just felt bad. I couldn't imagine having to work 2 jobs and be out all night and wake up and then take care of your family, so on and so forth.
Yep.
So now we must turn the question on to Angelo and Joe.
That's right. How did we all get here?
Well, I left my kitchen and I went up the stairs and I came into my office and sat in front of the computer. So that's how I got here.
This guy.
Yeah. No. But I took systems analysis in college, or wanted to become a systems analyst, and some way made my way through to information technology supporting infrastructure and systems. So I did a lot of co-op education, so a lot of work placement through college, so that was good. And had a part-time job at a hotel, Marriott, which is a fantastic company. They would one thing that stands out for me is they would, during the slow, I worked in the catering department, the banquets, and when it was slow, they would actually have us come in and clean, and this is again when I was going through school. They'd have us come in and clean chandeliers and things like that, just to keep folks busy and employed. So that great company. And then through all the sort of co-op work, or just made my way into IT, and was very lucky to make it into the financial area, and then got to meet Eric. And many other folks in the financial services area, which is always high stress, as Eric would attest to as well.
True that.
So yeah. But so that's how I kind of got into sort of IT, and it's funny because when we all started, it was all I remember my first official title was network analyst trainee, and I was doing desktop support at the time, Windows 3.1, Token Ring, Windows 3.1, Token Ring, and Novell 3.1.2, I think, just at the end of that, and then Novell 4.1.1. So, and then after Novell 4.1.1, that's when sort of this rapid transition started happening to Windows, the Windows Active Directory, Windows 2000, Windows 2003, Windows 2008, and then in between 2003, 2008, we started introducing virtualization, and then that sort of went from a pizza box environment where we had pizza boxes in racks all over the place to clearing all our racks out and reducing that space down to, I think it was like one rack in a virtualized. We actually got to the point where we were 100% virtualized, and that was something we were super proud of. So yeah, and now everything's going to the cloud, right? So
full circle.
Yeah. And my shop was purely not purely, but my shop was a mainframe shop. Being in the financial services space, mainframe was the number one, and you would always have to compete with those folks. You'd say we're doing virtualization, and they would they'd be like, yeah, that's nothing new to us. We've been doing that on the mainframe for years. But it's always funny having those discussions.
All right. I remember Novell. I loved it, actually.
Yeah.
So Joe, we gotta tap you out, right?
Yeah, at least for a little bit.
Yeah, but
Should be back hopefully.
I'm gonna probably I'm gonna burn through a little bit more of this one. I don't know that I'm gonna get too much further, so I'm probably gonna at least back out to a sane spot, and then I'll try and attack it as early as I can in the morning. So morning time now. Here's the trick. I just realized for Joe, that's going to be like stupidly early if we start early.
What time are you guys starting?
The plan is we want to finish up, so we're doing the presentation basically at 8 a.m. Eastern. So that's 6 a.m. your time, unfortunately.
No, it's only 7 for me. It's not too bad.
Oh, okay. So if you want to basically just, you can hack on. I think we've kind of got our minimum viable product. It's prototyped. It's doing what we want it to do. Angelo and I, we can jump on early. Al, you can jump on if you're able to, depending on what your schedule's like in the morning. So Angelo will try and jump on at 7, and then so that we can kind of just do the last of the presentation and then prep up. And then the goal is, at 8 o'clock, we'll liven up. And then we'll do the presentation, do the demo, and then this was pretty cool. Man, I'm super proud of everything that we've pulled together. This was a good learning experience. So yeah. Like I said, so if I was a younger gentleman, I might burn through the all hours. But having had the week that I've had, and that I got to try and get a couple hours on the bike tomorrow, and then do some family time, I will.
It's not worth it.
I think anyways, everybody did awesome. Definitely this is a good start. We did it. We got a working product. It's workable for a demo. I read a good book. It was called Creative Selections. The guy Ken Kusiende, whatever, it's the guy, he worked at Apple, and it talked about how they did product management and product development for Apple in the early days when it was like Jobs era Apple. And I was thinking, he talked about some demo. He says they'd go and they'd have to demo to Steve Jobs. He's like, there was things that literally just didn't work. And all they would do is just like do just enough of the screen view of something so they could go right past it to the next thing. And they said, so a lot of stuff was just like mocked up. But they said, because in the end, it didn't actually matter to the flow. You needed just to get through it to get to the next thing. So sometimes that's how we kind of do it. So
very cool.
Awesome. All right, gentlemen, have a good night, and then we'll jump on. I'll do the same thing. So I'll light up the Skype tomorrow. I won't do it as early. Angela, you and I can just chat or whatever, or
yeah.
I'm not sure how the thing works. Like when it rings, it doesn't as like no ring. It just tells you that there's a call active, right? It doesn't like sit there and ring your phone if I do when I do the call.
It rings mine.
Oh, it does? Okay, all right. I don't want. What I'll do then is I'll just do a different group, so I don't invite this whole everybody, so that depending on your availability, Joe, just let me know when you're kind of online, and then I'll just add you to the call.
Sounds good.
All right, folks, rest up.
Okay.
Be good.
Thank you
very much. We'll see you in the morning.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.
All right.
Bye-bye.
See ya.